I started with stream ending. That's how live goes sometimes. We'll be starting in about 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Don't go anywhere, and thanks for being here. Oh, yeah. Dysphagia. Milrus. Hopefully I said that right. Yo. Stanley. Dysphagia. Get your coffee. We got 3 minutes. Welcome, Billy. God Farmer. Hello, friend. Tutorial Curve. Glad you're following. We'll be starting soon. Don't go anywhere. All right, everybody, the stream is now commencing. Welcome to TubeBuddy Education. We have a special stream for you today. We are going to be talking about all things YouTube, the journey, and just whatever comes up with Black Belt Barrister, who is joining me today. Yes, on this special occasion where we pretty much going to be chatting some stuff. So thanks again, Daniel ShenSmith. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Get it right first time.
Sometimes, yeah, names are a bit, sometimes I, kind of fail with that, but I'm glad that we're able to do this. Everybody, please let me know if there's any issues with the video or audio. I trust y'all to be my backup there to make sure everything's coming in nice and loud and clean, and whatnot. So again, Daniel, thanks for joining me. Daniel has how many channels do you have on YouTube, first of all?
I lose track now. The main, what I call the main one, the second one, my wife's one, which is Easy Chinese Cooking. She loves to cook and she cooks fantastically. Even the dog's got her own channel now. My son's got his own channel, so we lose track now. It's just more than a hobby.
So like, I'm a switch over here, and I know that here's, I think, your main channel, right? Because I think from here I went over to channels and I saw Black Belt Secrets, saw the Art of Law, and probably my favorite one, which was Black Belt Floof. Tell me about Black Belt Floof, first of all. Let's just start here.
Well, there's a mini story there. She came home to live with us the day that I hit 100,000 on the main channel, Black Belt Barrister. And then since then, she wanted to sit on my lap and interfere with the videos. And I thought, you want to be on camera? I'll get you on camera. So now she's got 2 and a bit thousand subscribers. So yeah.
It's too good. It's amazing. I'm just like, and what, 2,000 subscribers already. And I'm sure if not already monetized or getting there. But that's a floof ready for fame and celebrity status. That's going to be great. But back to kind of what you're doing and what which was surprising to me, or kind of not so surprising, but really curious. There's Black Belt and then Barrister. And I had to kind of, forgive me, I kind of had to educate myself a bit on that legal side, because I think, lawyer, but barrister is a different type of lawyer. But knowing that there's this interesting mix of Taekwondo and then lawyer. And it's an interesting mix. So tell me about, how did you put that together, or what was your thinking behind that? Because it's kind of interesting as I go around the channel, and there, later down the line, there is some Taekwondo, and in more recent videos, it's kind of around that, just kind of law or, political or law related in some kind of way.
So I started with the other channel, the Black Belt Secrets channel, which is on your second tab there, which started as a martial arts channel, because I did martial arts for a very long time. A black belt people will know as first Dan, and then you train for a couple of more years, you get your second Dan, then at least 3 more, you get your third Dan, at least 4 more, you get your third, fourth, fifth, and so on. So I'm a 6th Dan in Taekwondo and close quarters combat. This channel I started first because I was teaching and training day in and day out, and everybody came to me wanting extra time, one-to-one sessions, and I just didn't have the time. So this was way back. Actually started not on this channel, but on a separate channel itself, which I don't run anymore. It became this one, but that was back in 2006. This one was sort of remade for the same purpose in around 2012, I think.
Wow.
2012, I think.
2012. That's, yeah, about 10 years. That sounds about right when it comes to YouTube.
And the very earliest forms of those videos went online in 2006. So it progressed from there. And it was Black Belt something then, but it became the Black Belt Secrets on this channel here, about 2012. And I think there's a few twists and turns in the journey with this channel. It started purely martial arts, then, which I'm sure we'll talk about because it's on the things that I think we will talk about. There was a bit of a twist and a change when one video went viral, so I'll probably come back to that. But that sort of led the two in different directions. Because this will probably interest everybody watching, and this is why I say going viral doesn't necessarily help you unless you see the benefit of what it's going to do for you. But before I go there, that was the martial arts channel, which then became lots of other things. It sort of went dormant for a while, but in the meantime, I then started in the lockdown, the Black Belt Barrister channel. I used the same
around COVID
name.
Is that the lockdown you're talking about?
Yeah, so I thought I'll keep the Black Belt in there because initially I thought I might call it Barrister Secrets as opposed to Black Belt Secrets, but didn't quite have the ring to it. So then I switched it to Black Belt Barrister, and it had much more of a ring to it. So I stuck with that. And that was, within a matter of a week or two of launching the channel. So it stuck with that. And this was, well, again, a lot of people wanted explanations of things. I had more time because the courts were closed, initially at least. And so I started, and I did it every day, which is, again, something else for anyone that's looking to grow a channel, we'll come back to, because that's one thing I think that really helped this channel grow.
Nice. And it would definitely, I want to dig into this channel, especially because, if you started on Black Belt Secrets and then you learned some stuff from there and then went to Black Belt Barrister, and it seems that this exploded for you, or it certainly worked. And I want to dig into that. But really quick before that, I've been noticing that some people have mentioned that there is a echo. Did we sort out that echo somewhere along that conversation, or is there still an echo? I want to make sure we clean that up and have a nice clean conversation. More importantly, unless it's like not that bad, but I imagine that maybe the voice is coming through from my end.
There may be an echo within the room that I'm in because I'm on holiday, but nothing I can do about that. I can talk a little bit less loudly, and then maybe the echo will be less prominent. I'll try that.
No echo. All right, I think we took care of that. Excellent, awesome. So back to the action here. Thanks a lot for letting us know that we fixed that. But so it's pretty interesting these two channels, and I think I'm really gonna try to jump into that. But before you even started Black Belt Secrets and Black Belt Barrister, what was the main reason? Like what got you into that, or what was the moment, if there was a moment, that you decided I'm gonna start making content on YouTube? This is it. Was it something that was it for fun, or you had a vision for this?
It was twofold. It was in 2006 and 2007 when I was running one of my businesses that I wanted to market in a way that nobody had ever marketed these type of things before. So there was a range of products that was never really available online, and they were kind of boring products, like construction type products. And I was introducing a whole range to the market that never really was sold before. And I thought the only way to do that really was by a video and allow people to see these things in sort of a 3D version like this, to say, this is what it looks like. And so I did those videos, and that was 2006.
Whoa.
And
so
obviously,
even,
right.
So what are we now? 2000, like, all right, almost 20 years, maybe 17, 16-ish years. That's quite a long time of making videos.
Yeah.
And
then almost immediately with the training with martial arts, because I've been training martial arts since 1988, maybe. So I started doing these videos for martial arts as well. And people wanted to know how to do really technical stuff. So I would film those and do those. That was around 2006 as well. Then there was a bit of a lull because the videos that I did worked and everything else that I did worked. So I just didn't do much. I did other stuff. Life took over. But then again, around 2012, 6 or so years later, I came back. So yeah, it was that original moment. It was, I saw the uprising of video in 2006, thereabouts.
Wow.
Leading up to it with the YouTube and the takeover and everything else. And it transformed my business. It brought my business then to market like nobody else had. And it allowed me to have this one-to-one with students, martial arts students, that no one else really had. It was obviously very, very early on at that time.
And were you also studying for, I guess, to be a barrister, or did that come in much, much later?
That came later. Yeah.
And like, because, I guess it makes sense. There's this Taekwondo kind of started, and then now, the black belt barrister. It's quite a name. And I started thinking, like, you got this, you're a black belt and then a lawyer, like, who's going to want to mess with you in court? Or,
also knowing how to defend yourself legally and practically at the same time.
Yeah. And so it was an odd mix, and especially just it piqued my curiosity for sure. And I, was digging in and like trying to see, like, okay, are you talking about law while you're sparring or something? But there's this, I definitely saw a lot more of the Taekwondo in the black belt secrets. And I did see some of that in the barrister, but at the very beginning, and then it really just became more on barrister related. But having this persona, like, this is kind of what makes you different. You have this background of Taekwondo, and there's some stuff to prove it. And back to what you said, not just defending yourself in court, but also just defending yourself practically, physically in something like that. It's wild. And so it makes sense. You started, just making Taekwondo videos, and it worked out. And back to that, being, barrister, did you study way later, and did you decide on trying to mix the both topics, or, when did that start happening?
Yeah, I did come to it later. And I mean, oddly, I had what we call a barrister's chambers, which is, it's a type of business where barristers come together to sort of share the administrative work. And then I also had a law firm, and obviously became a barrister myself. And with the background of the videos with martial arts and everything else, my business at the early stages was barrister direct. So you could come directly to a barrister to do the work for you. And so again, I was back to videos with that. And again, that was around 2009 or 10 or thereabouts, with videos to explain what the service is and what is a barrister, because a lot of people didn't even know what a barrister is. And I just seemed to be able to put these things in a way that people understand. So I just said, well, a barrister is the lawyer that you see go to court in a wig and gown in England and Wales, or, in certain other places like Australia or wherever. But it's the barrister.
And I was reading kind of like supreme, like really higher court, supreme or superior, like, I guess tell us just a little bit in case anyone's wondering what exactly a barrister is. I had to kind of look it up a little bit.
So barristers on qualification have what we call full rights of audience, which means all of the courts will hear us on behalf of our clients, right the way up to the Supreme Court from the moment that we qualify, which is something that solicitors don't have, initially at least. Solicitors usually will do all of the, without being disrespectful, the paperwork, witness statements, filing the documents in court, which is called litigation. Barristers can do that if we do a separate qualification, which I've done, so I can do litigation as well. But typically, it's solicitors that do that. I think there's only around 1,000 barristers that do litigation, of which I'm one. And so that's the broad distinction between solicitors and barristers. Barristers will also offer discrete advice on very specialist areas, and obviously then go and represent the case in court. So one of my initial businesses was exactly that, on Barrister Direct, to allow people to come straight to a barrister. So again, I'm back to YouTube, making videos for it, embedding those videos on the website, and no one else really was doing it at that point. You found one or two, and when they did it quite well, but not many firms were doing it then. That sets you definitely in front, and to have started so long ago. And just to kind of touch on that, with YouTube, and a reminder that it is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And absolutely,
I think, for the creator journey, what so far learning from you is that it has taken time, but just consistency. And I think the bottom line, in bold, italicized, underlined, Comic Sans font, if we need to, is don't give up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't quit. Just keep doing this. So, along that journey, you've had so much time on YouTube. You've had so much time making videos. You've put all sorts of things together. You even threw your pet floof, all the floofs on there. I'm sure there's a lot that you've learned along the way. And there's always a question that I like to ask, because I think, I'm learning a lot. As a kind of a green new creator coming up and learning a lot about that. One of the questions I have is, along that journey, what were some of your biggest mistakes? What can you think of and remember that this choice was a bad choice?
Yeah.
But whatever it was, whether it's hardware, software, streaming, videos, topics, being a barrister on YouTube or any of those videos, what were some of those mistakes that you take with you now to this day that you have learned?
I'd say there's two main things, and I'll take them in turn. One of them was overestimating and underestimating the performance of videos. And I think that warrants some explanation. If you go to the tab on Black Belt Secrets, and then to videos and sort by the number of views, you'll see the top video there. I've heard referred to, not this one specifically, but a video that does well, I've heard referred to as a hero video, which blows everything else out of the water. And as you can see, with 4 million views, it's the only video to get that sort of amount of views. Yeah. And this brought in me two mistakes in one, and that was both overestimating and underestimating the performance of videos. So what I overestimated was that a viral video like that, which I suppose you can consider viral, although in the strict sense it's not viral because it took time to build up those views, but in a sense you can think of it as being viral, but compared to the others at least. But yeah, thinking of that as, the first thing I thought is I need to do more of that. I need to do more videos like that. And so I started chasing the one topic where that got the views. And so as a consequence, you can see over on the right-hand side, the sciatic pain relief with morning stretches, 371,000, and then another one, with exercises, for sciatic nerve pain. So I started chasing those particular topics based on that one so-called hero video. So I was overestimating that one video performance, which can get you tied into a niche that you didn't really want to be in the first place.
Ooh.
And that's
a good one. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then tied onto that, ironically, was underestimating the performance of the videos that I did create. So it's a double-edged sword. You can get stuck in a niche that you didn't really want, but you can also underestimate how well it performs. So I was doing a video, and in a few weeks it was getting 100,000 views or whatever, and it was nothing like the 4 million views, or it wasn't 4 million at the time. It was over 1 million views or whatever, and thinking it's not good enough, so I'm not happy with it. But then I was underestimating the power of those videos that I was doing. Whereas had I carried on doing those, I think eventually, yes, I might have been stuck in a bit of a niche, but the channel might be 10 times the size. So overestimate, underestimate. That was one big mistake, I suppose. Overestimating the one video and underestimating the videos that I did that followed it. And what I learned from that was, well, yes, you can get stuck in a niche, but if it's something that you're passionate about, which I am sort of passionate about, the stretching and the pain management and the sports injury management. I'm always carrying some kind of injury. I've had virtually every kind of sprain and pull and tear and broken bone and whatever. So it is something that I care about. So you could follow that. If all you want is a successful YouTube channel, follow what works on your channel. And then the second mistake was either spreading out into too many areas, as you can see with the different topics that I tried, but I didn't try any of them consistently. Now, I've got a theory which I would love to be able to prove, but I have a theory, and that is, if you want to grow in a certain area or certain niche, a certain topic, you can't do one video, and you can't just do 2 or 3 videos. You have to do them consistently, because what I notice is when you do consistent videos over time on that same niche, then YouTube will pick up your channel for those videos. But you have to keep doing it. And that goes regardless of it being, a brand new channel or, a channel that's been there for a long time. So this channel here, Belt Secrets, has been there the longest. But the Art of Law, you'll see on there, is relatively new. And it's, I lose track now, 7,000 something. But it's probably just about a year old now. The Art of Law channel. I lose track of how old it is now. But
yeah, so definitely Art of Law. Were you Black Belt Barrister Robert Shaw?
Yeah, I mean, we keep saying that we need to find something that doesn't rhyme, but insist that it does. But so
sometimes it works.
It does work. It's people keep asking in the comments, why do you keep saying that? Well, it's because it gets you commenting every time I say it. That's why. But the point with this is it was a bit of an experiment. We implemented my theory to say, if we consistently make videos about law, about trending and interesting topics, and consistently do it, let's see how quickly it grows. And so it has grown quite significantly now. I can probably go back in and try and find out exactly, the point that it really started growing. But interestingly enough, it does seem to grow more quickly when it's monetized. That's another interesting thing I found.
Interesting. So as soon as that monetization happens, what do you think? Where's that explosion, or I guess the increase? Is it just the views? Is it the retention?
So, everything really. I mean, put it this way: I've just pulled up my my stats. So it's exactly a year, actually. So it was around July last year, and it had next to no views, really, 10, 20, 30, or a few hundred or whatever, for almost a year, until the point we just about got it monetized. And then suddenly we've got, 5,000-10,000 views or whatever per day this is. So, not nearly as big as my other channels, but certainly proving the concept at the moment. So that was my second thing, was not being consistent. So I heard a lot of YouTubers saying it, and I'm watching all the videos and using TubeBuddy, which I'm definitely going to come to in a minute to explain how that definitely helped, because this sorted out my problem of finding where I was going. Because as you can probably pick up from the trend of what I've said, and the two big mistakes that I made, not doing something consistently, following what works, and conversely chasing what I thought was going to work. I then found all the tools and thought, let's actually find something that's going to tell me quite easily, actually, what is likely to work for the channel, and do split testing between thumbnails. Is it the thumbnail that's not working? Is it the title that's not working? Is it because it's not searchable? Is it, not enough searches for it, or all of these?
Not enough searches for the floof?
It probably is by now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, interestingly as well, I did also put the hashtag for the channel from the very beginning, which I think is still, at least on Black Belt Barrister, at least still there on virtually every video, which now obviously when you search the hashtag, it pulls up all the videos. So I think all these things do work together, but certainly those were the two big things. There's quite a lot to unpack, and it's obviously taken a lot of years to come to those conclusions, but that's what I really think.
I don't see you here. No, but I totally understand that, and really, a big takeaway that I've got out of that question is, there is power in this overestimating and underestimating, because the excitement, the especially when it's your first time experiencing this spike. Yeah. And it's like, oh, that's a feel-good dopamine hit right there, and you are ready to just do more of that. It's like, okay, if that's working, and we say that, we talk about that. If there's something that's working, do more of it. Yeah. But there's definitely a lot more under that, and because just as you said, something I took, I'm taking with me on this is, you could lock yourself in a niche. And it's important to know that if that does happen, you do pursue that spike, that it's still under the realms of what you're passionate about, so that you are, point number 2, able to be consistent and stick with that and get monetized, and then allow that channel to move even more, and it's still around where you're passionate from, and then not underestimating the everything else. There's some videos that might not perform as great, but they're still adding a lot to you. That consistency is. Oh,
and the other thing I can fairly definitively say as well, which contradicts what a lot of people say. A lot of people say that if you have a really badly performing video, that it will mess up the algorithm, and your channel won't get many views on the next video. To put it bluntly, I think that's rubbish, because I can have a video that, for whatever reason, just doesn't do very well. There are some reasons that a video doesn't do well. I can say those in a minute. But the point is, I could have a video that gets just a few thousand views. I say just, it's a few thousand is a lot of views for any video, but it can have 2,000 or 3,000. And then it can be either side of another video that gets 100 or 200. So it's something, it might be a hard truth to swallow, but it's something about the video, the thumbnail, or the title. And it's usually in the reverse order. I think the priority is the thumbnail, secondary is the title, and beyond that is the first 2 or 3 seconds of the video. And apart from that, it doesn't matter if you have one badly performing video, the next one can do really well. But it's the consistency. You just have to keep putting out the content. I remember probably a year and a bit ago, I started talking about trials and, so the Amber Heard trial and all these sort of things. And the first video didn't do very well. The next video didn't do very well. And I thought, do I really want to be talking about these trials and things like that? And the first couple of videos didn't do very well. So I thought maybe I'll go back to my traditional law explanation videos. But I just did a few more. And then they started to gather views. And so it's consistency, not just when you upload and the quality and everything else, but consistency in that particular niche. And now, again, I've heard a few big creators say, you create for the audience. It's not, think of, I think it was Mr. Beast said, replace algorithm with audience and create for the audience. And that's absolutely right. But you've got to find the audience. And if anything, I would add to what he said and say the algorithm finds the audience for your video, but it can't do it overnight. It can't do it on one video. It has to do it. You have to give it enough information and enough videos and enough content to be able to find the audience for you.
Where do you think that, kind of touched on that is for you at least, where do you think that maybe the amount of videos it took before the algorithm really started to kind of pick up on that, or you noticed a change?
On a particular niche or sub niche, at least 4 or 5 videos, I think, before it really picked up to say, hey, hang on a minute. These videos, there's a few of them now. They are all going to interest this particular audience. Let's start showing it to the audience. And if they respond well to it, they'll show it to a wider section of that same audience. And then if you do more and it grows to the point where I can probably pull up an example, but it was absolutely mind-blowing where I had a very, very busy normal legal day, and somebody had sent me something in the comments to another video, and as usual, I'll come back to comments in a minute. There's 2 big things I'm going to tell you about comments. But this was in the middle of a very, very, very busy day, and I literally had 5 minutes to record a video. And so the video is...
Wow. 5 minutes, just did it.
The video is 5 minutes and 59 seconds long. It's practically one take, so there was virtually no editing involved. And within 3 days, it had 500,000 views. And it was a 5-minute video that was just my immediate thoughts off the back of one comment. And it was one of the most successful videos.
It was just a response to your community.
It was, somebody said, what do you think about this? And I looked at it and I had a thought about it, which was, I didn't believe it because the evidence was inconsistent. It was actually the video where, she'd said that she got hit in one side of the face and gestured to it, but the injury was on the other side of the face. And so the evidence didn't add up. So my thought was, well, this is what I think of it. And it was 5 minutes. And that was, again, like I say, it's a very successful video. But I think only because it was against the backdrop of having done several videos on the same niche consistently that found the audience. Well, the algorithm found the audience for those videos. To the point, and this was the point that I was making, to the point that I could just do any video on that niche area and the algorithm would find the audience to watch it because it was relevant. Even though it was a 5-minute sat at my desk, record it and go type video.
And just throw it up there.
And it just worked, yeah.
I think that's kind of to add maybe a little bit to that is, reaching or kind of responding to your community. You have people that are talking with you, reaching out to you, and you responded. And, it's like you were rewarded for that. The algorithm's like, okay, you're active, you're responding. There's this engagement that you made a connection with.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely a truth in that. I think the algorithm, I think we would be naive to think the algorithm is not smart enough to know what you're doing. because if one person's asking the question, you can guarantee more than one person is asking the question. And if you see a bunch of people asking the question, I can guarantee that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people asking the same question, not necessarily on your channel or your videos, but elsewhere. And that comes back to TubeBuddy, because you look up what is being searched for and what is relevant, and it's somewhere to start. Eventually, you'll figure this out for yourself. But if you've got nowhere to start, you don't know what to look for. You need a sort of helping hand. But when you get these directions and these pointers, then you can put these things together. And so it may not be from your channel, but a couple of things about comments, because I think it can be really useful and really harmful if you're not careful. So a lot of people I know at least say, don't read the comments. And they say that for one reason only, which is there's a lot of negative stuff in the comments. There's a lot of people say a lot of negative things in the comments. Yep. However, I do read comments. I read lots of comments. Any spare minute that I get, I'm reading the comments. So I do. I obsess over the comments. I obsess over the statistics, everything. I'm always looking at it. I've been looking at it pretty much around the clock for 3 years now. But with the comments, I'll say two things. I'll take the point that someone says don't read the comments, but I apply it in my own way. If it's a negative comment, I can spot that it's negative. I just move on. It takes a mental shift to just move on and not read it and not take it in. But I do read and take note of the positive comments. I'll like them. I've got my own little keyboard shortcut where I can type thank you. So it's not one of the YouTube default ones. It's a nicely typed out response, and I will reply to those. And I'll reply to as many as I've got time for. And I think that's useful because that drives memberships as well. I've got hundreds of members on between the channels. So I think that's really useful. But when it comes to the negative comments, just ignore it. Absolutely, just ignore it. Or what I do sometimes is make a video about it because that allows me to say, this is what someone said, but here's why you're wrong.
That's a response.
Tens upon tens of thousands of views off the back of a comment like that.
And I think now YouTube's released a kind of a way to respond to that by creating a short in response to a comment, which, shorts, it's probably another whole conversation to have, as it's still new. There's still so much going on in the changes and all that. But before, if we have time, maybe we will. But, touching back a little bit on TubeBuddy and, what were some of the tools that helped you out? It sounded like, digging into what the audience was searching. It sounds like some Keyword Explorer was in there.
Yeah.
Were there any other tools that along the way, whether it was a long time ago to even now, just how was it part of your process, your workflow?
The three big things for me was firstly, search terms, volume. How's my channel going to fare for a given search term? Because I was a bit lost before, at least before Black Belt Barrister, certainly, in what I was going to make videos for. But then when I started Black Belt Barrister, I needed some guidance as to, well, what's going to work? Where are the searches? Where is the traffic? Where's the volume? And being a barrister, we are trained, by the way, to do most civil cases and most criminal cases. Obviously not when you first qualify, not the very, very serious ones. You can't just, qualify on day one and then go and do a very serious crime case. You work your way up to those, but we do the broad spectrum. But that was a problem in itself because I'm like, where do I start? Do I start with parking fines or do I start with, serious, bad things? I want to get your channel flagged, but
serious bad things.
That's another thing.
That's a title. That's a title for review. Serious bad things. Let's talk about it.
Bad things. Yeah. Avoid bad things. And so that was the first thing. Was the Keyword Explorer was an absolute gold dust for me because that allowed me to get some direction. And secondly, it allowed me to realize that a lot of my thumbnails were just really bad. And I just had to accept that a lot of my thumbnails are really bad. And so I did split testing. I did split testing and all sorts of analysis. And the click magnet, when that came out, was absolutely fantastic, because it said, it highlights these ones will do really well and these ones need some work. That was a real eye-opener for me. It was absolutely clear that, moment, this is what's going to work. There it is, power rankings and the click-through opportunities. So this was, for me, was an eye-opener. These work, these don't. And then the click-through opportunities, whilst some of them worked, it at least gave me the idea of, well, this is really where I need to focus my attention. Those are the three main things I really used it for.
And some of my favorites too. Just last live stream, we're kind of talking about click magnet, and kind of more specifically on, kind of looking at emotions and being able to track some of this stuff to a degree. It's not perfect, but definitely an interesting way to connect emotionally and to also track a bit of those words. But one of my favorite things to use all the time is CTR opportunities. It gives me a place to start. First of all, when it comes to SEO optimization, and then when I get time, it's really going to be updating these thumbnails. But another set of live streams, or set of weeks ago, I did a live stream on changing a lot of titles, and that is already helping my click-through rate. And I'm going to do another kind of live stream later in the future for anybody to talk about how that's improved with our title generator using AI. But kind of going back, Keyword Explorer every time, looking at that data. It's I like that you touched a little bit on specifically that you have a goal. You know exactly what you're looking for when it comes to insights. It's not looking at everything or just like, oh, okay, is it poor? Make a decision. It's I'm looking for volume. I'm looking for what's out there, and just what people are searching, and you take that with you and do what you need to. And just Barrister, you're at the top. You are right at the top, and you own 6 out of the 20 search results. When my profile searches it, every profile might be a little bit different, but just without this channel being anything to do with like law or taekwondo, it shows up, and that's pretty promising, and good to know that those are the tools that you use and still use, and when it comes to planning your content, have you used any AI in that process? And it doesn't have to be TubeBuddy AI, but I'm always curious, kind of just if you have a few minutes to touch on that, like, are there any AI tools that you use? Because I like using AI tools. I don't use AI tools to make decisions for me. I don't like AI to craft something for me. I have an idea and I use it to kind of help me take pieces and help enhance, like, oh, I never thought of that, let me try to play with that, and back and forth.
So what I've done a couple of times, I tested out ChatGPT with ideas for a new spin on an existing video. So I'll go to a video that I know has worked well previously. I've grabbed the transcript, dumped that into ChatGPT and said, here's the transcript for a video. Here's what it was about. This is who I am and what I do. And, I want you to act as a YouTube trends manager and all this sort of stuff. Come up with a new idea based on the same video, which is it's a spin-off comment, by the way. Don't ever be worried about making the same video twice. I mean, some of my videos, I have to say it, some of my videos are virtually the same. I've just remade it a year later, almost not quite word for word, but certainly the content, because there's only so many times that I can say the same legal analysis in different ways. But the point is, YouTube will show it to either some of the same people or a whole new bunch of people that have never seen it before. And so a lot of people come back and say, thanks for this, that's really useful. And clearly they've never seen it before. So don't be worried about making the same thing twice. So I've punched it into ChatGPT and said, come up with a new spin on this old video. And
ooh, interesting.
It gives me some good bullet points. Yeah, it's a really interesting way of doing it. I never script my videos, by the way. I've never scripted a thing. YouTube couldn't believe it when I went to see them in London. They said the average YouTuber spends 2 to 3 weeks, planning and scripting and setting their videos out. But because mine's just a talking head, and I would love to go into doing vlogs and all this sort of stuff, but I don't think they would get the views that I want, and I don't think they'll be as interesting as I could make these videos. But because of that, I just don't script anything. So bullet points is the way to go for me with ChatGPT. But also, if you go back to the Black Belt Barrister tab and videos and the latest videos, I've used AI for some of the new thumbnails. Not the first one, but the second one, the High Court rules that one. The image on the right it's obviously Prince Harry, but that's AI generated. And then on the third row down, the 3, if not 4 of those.
Wow.
The first 3, the top 3. The Harry.
When you say AI, did it help you, or you just went straight into something like Midjourney or DALL-E? I've tried both, but I think Midjourney worked for me better. And I've said, this is the type of thing that I want. I've usually mixed 2 separate images together and then put it into my templates for thumbnails, which is another thing that I think that TubeBuddy helped me to work out, was that a consistency in the thumbnail worked well. And text versus no text was another thing that I experimented with. And for mine, because there's an educational element to it, text worked better. With or without faces, with a face worked better. So you can now see the pattern emerge. So, with that, it's got to be an interesting video. It's got to have all the stuff that makes people watch it. But this is sort of your pattern, your template to make it work. Yeah.
Familiar face.
You can see that there's a slight change there. There's still some consistency even below, but as we kind of start to scroll up, just scanning it, there's a slight change, but also just kind of clean and some kind of branding there that's kind of sticking to a way. It's interesting. Something that I'm still playing around with. There's so many things, and again, there's so much to talk about when it comes to AI, especially when it comes to law and ethics and all that. Copyright. There's so much that's out there. That is something else to touch on, but probably not the best channel to do that. So, thank you again for joining us. If anything, I have one more question for you is, what do you got? What do you got in the future? What are your plans? Are you envisioning any plans for black belt floof? Or what's that next experiment that you might be exploring?
Well, there's a couple of things really. One has already started. That's over on Black Belt Secrets, because for a long time I was really trying to find the footing for it again, because I didn't really want to go back to doing the martial art videos. I could, but it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I have the passion for it, but I didn't want to make the videos for it. That my passion wasn't in making videos for martial arts. I enjoyed it while it was there, but the new angle for that is, what do I really think? What's my personal view? And that could incorporate the law, and it could be just, what do I think? Because so many people have watched. I think my channel's around 75 million views now, Black Belt Barrister. So all of those people have watched and don't really know what I think. Well, some of them know what I think from what I don't say, but what do I really think? A lot of people ask me that all the time. Tell us what you really think. So they were telling me that for so long, and it just hit me one day. I thought, this is perfect. The secrets of what I really think. So that goes over on Black Belt Secrets now. Nice.
Well, excellent. Again, Daniel, it's been a pleasure talking to you about a little bit about your journey. It's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. You've been doing it for so many years. I'm sure you've got stories going on, and that's maybe we can have a second part 2 in the future. But thanks again for being here and sharing with us a bit of your journey. And just hanging out with me and with the crew here, the community, the TubeBuddy community. Thanks all of you too for hanging out. I hope that there's something that you took out of this. I certainly did. And I'm fueled with determination and inspiration out of this. Thanks again one more time, and maybe see you later. And then for all the rest of everyone here, thanks again. See you later. Oh, and drink your water.